All right, music fans, welcome back. It is I, Dave, the real music observer, observing real music in real time for real people, just like you and just like me. One of my most popular videos is about Don Felder of the Eagles. It's called The Eagles Still Have a Don Felder Problem. Today I'm doing a video called Chicago Still Has a Peter Cetera Problem. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, man, this is an old issue. Why are you. Well, the reason I'm talking about it is because Chicago is now on their fourth tenor lead vocalist. Okay? Cetera, Chef, Coffey, Donnell. That's their fourth lead singer. All right? And then back in 85, 86, when Cetera left, Chicago made the decision to stick to their philosophy, which, I've praised them in videos and I've said, well, I'm kind of on their side in this situation. Cetera, though, wanted more than what they were willing to give him. The problem for Chicago is their train derailed even on Chicago 18. It was just too much of a shock for a lot of people to believe that Peter Cetera was no longer there. And this, by the way, was compounded by the fact that Cetera had been so much more visible because of MTV and because of the fact that he was really taking on the role at that point as their go-to vocalist. The level of creativity coming from Robert Lamb wasn't that much. He was still given a song here or there, I think, just to placate the guy. And, Bill Champlin's contributions were great, but until Chicago 19, he was never made the lead singer in this role that Cetera had had for quite some time. Way back, it was definitely more of a democracy. But everything, in my view, changed on If You Leave Me Now. Cetera just emerged as this golden voice who could just christen a ballad. And the broken jaw, everything that helped form those vocal cords, what you were hearing, it just, even Robert Lamb said there was no replacing Peter Cetera. And they've tried for over 30 years to replace Peter Cetera. And yes, they've sustained their career. I would say their pop career ended abruptly in 1991 when the music industry collapsed and when the record label made foolish decisions about Chicago 21. Number one, not promoting it. Number two, using a wimpier mix of the songs that were given to them. But at that point, you're hanging by a thread, not because Chicago 19 wasn't a super strong album. That was Ron Nevison doing great production work, also saying Bill Champlin is now the singer, since in my view, this is just me, I think Nevison was not impressed with either Jason Chef's singing or the material that Jason Chef brought to the table for Chicago 19. Now, granted, you had a tune called What Kind of Man Would I Be, which was a remixed version on the Greatest Hits album, which became a top 10 hit. So, but that was really two songs that Jason had in the top 10, whereas Champlin had three alone on Chicago 19. Of course, they would try again with Champlin on 21 and fail because of the mix and because the record label just kind of abandoned the band. And really, it was still all just a temporary, fix to keep this band going commercially. After that, they were just a touring band. They were a touring band paying tribute to the music that they played in the 70s and 80s. Champlin finally got tired of that and left, said in his departure that he missed the mix that he and Peter had singing together, which may or may not have been a dig at Jason Chef, but certainly made it clear that Cetera was kind of in a league all of his own. Now, Cetera is out there touring in the year 2018. And even though he's performing stuff a step down, he still sounds amazing. And Chicago, at this stage, is on a, shall we say, a karaoke phase of their band, which is really sad because they don't even have a dedicated bass player singer anymore. They have a guy who can sing the phone book but doesn't sound like anybody, like I've said before. So Chicago still has a Peter Cetera problem. It's never gone away. It's, I guess, how the fans have handled it. Some of the fans are like, yeah, just keep going. But I've gotten to the point, in my view, watching this thing unfold, that it's not working anymore. I think you're going to see a rapid sort of end to Chicago and their, selling out stadiums or mid-size arenas and so forth. Whereas Peter Cetera tickets, as long as he wants to tour and as long as his voice holds up, he's going to sell out because he is really the legacy of Chicago at this point. Now you may say, what about the horn section? What about all these other guys that were in Chicago, like Robert Lamb? Yeah, when Robert Lamb takes the stage and they do Beginnings and Saturday in the Park, people are really happy. But Robert, unfortunately, doesn't have the catalog of hits that Peter Cetera has. Not to mention all the great album cuts and other stuff that Peter has done with the band. And even Peter's solo career, while not remarkable, is still very good, considering other people and what's happened to them when they've left bands. Peter Cetera is the voice of Chicago. It's really hard to debate otherwise, and it's kind of sad to think in this day and age that these two sides can't reconcile, but a divorce is a divorce, and it doesn't appear that either side wants to get back together again. So that is why Chicago still has a Peter Cetera problem. All right, that's my video. I'm Dave. I'll be back with more real music in real time for real people just like you right there and just like me. And we'll do it again real soon.